So,
Yeah.
Tommy, wisdom. How are you, man?
Yes.
How are you feeling?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Living the dream. Um,
That
yeah.
that's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm actually very happy. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while, and we're finally doing it. Uh,
Yeah.
it's actually very interesting because I've been following you for around 8 months, maybe a little
Mm.
while ago, and the first thing that caught my attention was your van and your lifestyle and what you're doing. And and hopefully for everyone that is watching this, hopefully we can talk a little bit more about that. But
Yeah.
before we get to the nitty gritty and the juicy parts, Tommy, I would love for you to actually tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're a graphic designer that specializes
Absolutely.
in branding and brand
Hmm.
identities. Um,
That's right.
but for all of those that don't know who you are, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm Tommy Wisdom. Yes, that's my real name, Wisdom. And so I'm from Boston, Mass. And I'm a brand strategist and designer, identity designer. That, yeah, as you can see, travels in my mobile studio here. So I've been on the road for 2 years, and it's been the best years of my life. I can say hands down, easily one of the best decisions I've made to really simplify life and just you know try to make time slow down. So far, 2023 has been my best year yet as far as my business goes. It's taken time, but I've been booked solid all 7 months so far. So it's been just nonstop fun traveling, really nice way of life. So, yeah, a little bit about
That's
my backstory. Yeah. So before this, I was an amateur skateboarder for like 20 years.
Oh,
So
that's
that's
awesome.
actually, yeah, that's how I got into branding. So I was like riding for global brands. And that's how I learned the power of brand building. So I had bunch of sponsors and everything and going on trips and getting paid in magazines and whatnot. So I realized that brands are so much more than just a label. It's really kind of like a way of life. You can really buy into this, and that's what really piqued my curiosity to get into branding. But I also thought that at this time branding was so complex and confusing, and my curiosity really drove me to try to really learn more and try to master it. So after I stopped like competing and traveling with skateboarding, I went back to school. I started focusing on marketing and took a couple years out of school to really learn that design and branding was really where I wanted to spend all my time. Um, so out of school, I started working in some branding agencies and working on branding initiatives. I had the honor of working with like Under Armour and Red Bull, Canada Goose of Ice. So
That's
some really,
awesome.
I got some really great exposure for what it's like to, really cut my teeth in branding with some of these agencies. So I learned a ton. And then I was basically like the hub and the bike wheel, working on the brand projects while the creative teams. Um, and then I realized I could do it on my own. So have more freedom, make a bigger impact, choose who I want to work with, set my own prices, determine my own schedule. So I started my business about 7 years ago. And
Okay.
yeah, and then I've realized a lot of business owners kind of need the same thing. It's like they understand what their brand is up here in their head, but they don't really know how to articulate it and express it, right? They're usually good at one certain thing. Um, but they really need someone that understands branding with that breadth and that depth that's needed to really clearly articulate and express the brand in a compelling way. And so yeah, over and over it keeps coming back to that. They really need to understand how to really get it out on paper in a compelling way. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'm sure we'll kind of get more into my process and everything, but that's a little bit of a backstory here.
That's awesome. And just with that, I have so many other questions,
Yeah,
which is amazing. Let's. I want to
yeah,
start
feel free.
with the decision from deciding to actually do branding and graphic design rather
Mm,
than skating. Skating,
mm,
to those who practice the sport, is very similar to soccer, for example,
hmm,
in
hmm.
the sense that when you're very little, it's the top of sport that you want to play, and you have a passion for that sport, and you grow
Yeah,
with the sport, and you love you grow loving the brands and everything attached to it. So what and if you actually got sponsors and you were in that world, what actually got you out of that world into the design one?
definitely. Yeah, so um, it is very difficult, honestly, to sort of change your identity in a way. But
Mm-hmm.
there is so much overlap between doing anything expressive and creative with something like graphic design. It really is another form of expression. A lot of the same principles apply, like, discipline and, showing up every day and problem solving. And so it's really like it builds a lot of character. That same person that's going to shoot that soccer ball over and over into the hours of the night is going to be a really good graphic designer because they're really never going to give up. They're going to continue to push and break through walls. So similar things, that character building really goes a long way for being your own boss and um, you know being able to express yourself in a creative way, which is a very nice. Actually, a lot of skateboarders turn into designers because they just have this aesthetic eye, um, that they're
Mm-hmm.
able to
Mm-hmm.
just kind of just kind of migrate, translate over into something that can make them money for the long term. And that's what kind of did it for me. It was like
Oh,
I was
okay.
making money skating, but not a lot, a lot for a little kid.
Uh-huh.
But I really needed
Mm-hmm.
to really find something I'm really passionate about that would be sustainable for the long term. And I still skateboard, but not like I used to.
That's awesome, and I can
Yeah.
relate to that because we all have passions that we have that not necessarily we can live off, but we still do. So I can
Exactly.
definitely relate to that. A little while ago, you said that uh, there's a problem that you encounter every time with clients, in that they had an idea, a very clear idea of what they want, but they had problem expressing it. And it's very
Hmm.
interesting because I took a little bit of I looked at your site, which by the way, your
Hmm.
website, which by the way is amazing. I love it.
Hmm.
And I love
Thank
your
you.
branding. I love your messaging. I love your colors. Hopefully we can talk about that uh, in a little while. I'm telling you, man, I'm pumped. I have so many questions.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
in the video that you have talking about yourself, there's a quote that you say that really resonated with me, and it's that what makes a great brand is a great story. And I
Mm.
love that quote because I
Hmm.
think is really true, which
Yeah.
brings up the question, what makes a great story?
Mm.
How do you create a great story? Do you find the great story in the client and in their experience, or do you create it? Do you
Yeah.
polish it? How do you,
Mm.
as a brand designer, uh,
Mm. Yeah.
create that story?
Yeah. So, um, being in branding and design, in marketing, you really have to really just understand that stories follow the same basic plot lines. You know, there's and if you've read the book Story Brand by Donald Miller, you'll know that it really is quite simple. It's the main character has a problem, and you know, and then they meet a guide, and the guide gives them a plan, calls them into action, and leads them to success and helps them avoid failure. And they have this character transformation. And so you
Mhm.
really do want to start
The hero
there, I
story,
think.
right?
Yeah, exactly, the hero story.
Hmm.
And that's a good way to start. And you really uncover the key things that you really need to talk about. And then you get that down on paper, and there might be something really compelling there, but the idea is that you want to get that down clear and then make it creative, right? Kind of hide that story arc a little bit,
Hmm.
add some mystique, some intrigue, you know? Um, and not every brand is going to need to be talking about like the problems, you know, or the symptoms or the inner or the demon, the monster, right? So you
Hmm.
need to be creative in how you express it and understand your audience. Um,
And do you
but yeah.
think that the story is the soul of the brand? Or am I
Mm,
wrong? Do you think there's
mm.
something more important for a brand than a story?
So I really feel that like when you're talking about the soul of a brand, you're really talking about its reason for existing and its purpose.
Hmm.
Um, However, you know, I do think that a brand is how the consumers perceive your company, right? So
Hmm.
they perceive
Correct.
it through the form of a story. And a lot of times, you know, it could be the videos that you're showing, your messaging pillars, your just the way you communicate, you know, what's their transformation that they're getting through your product. Um, all of those things kind of build up to be a story that they're going to remember.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't say it's the
It's
soul,
it.
but I think it's so important. It really is. It's what people are going to remember. And yeah.
So it's rather interesting because I don't consider myself an expert in branding, or I don't consider myself a rookie, but I have a lot of room for improvement, a lot. And when I hear people talk about these concepts about the story and the reason, for existing, these are all
Mhm.
terms that this 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 has nothing to do with typography or color or the logo or all of those buzzwords that we hear all over the social media and what people are usually selling. Uh,
Yeah.
and when I hear these elements, this kind of talk, I know there's something more and bigger uh, when I hear a person talk about this on social media, and that's actually one of the reasons I came across your platform. I
Mhm.
really love your bold text. I love your branding. I love your messaging. I love how you only use magenta for accent.
Mm.
And again, we can talk about that on a little while because I think it's really important.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when it comes to all of this reason for existing stories, when it comes to these kind of things, do you have like a process that you follow that maybe helps you discover this these things, or is it more like every client is different, therefore the process is different kind of thing?
Mm. That's a really good question. And I do want to get back into, after I answer this question, the connection between story and strategy and design, because I think it's a
Hmm.
really interesting topic. So let's chat about that next. But
Yes.
yeah, so I usually start out, I really try to simplify branding for people because that's what really people want. They want something simple and easy and effective, right? So um, I've been in their shoes. It's confusing and complex. I want to make it simple. So there's three steps, and I don't butter it up and call it anything other than it is. It's a workshop, it's the brand strategy, and it's the design. And so after a discovery call where we determine what success looks like and what the objectives are, um, right, I will go into this three-step process. But I won't do this unless I determine, okay, yeah, your design really does need to be changed or improved, right?
Hmm.
Or you really don't have brand clarity, you don't have brand direction. Um, you know, that would determine whether brand strategy was necessary, right? So once we determine the symptoms and we talk about the solution. So the workshop's the first step's a 8-hour workshop where it's just a really structured deep dive where we get into the brand. It's we're unlocking brand DNA and compelling brand truths. So we talk about the target consumer. That opens up a lot of doors. Once you know your target, it's a lot easier to hit the target.
Mm-hmm.
We do the overarching brand story. We'll do the positioning. So we'll do a deep competitor analysis, which is once paperwork signed, deposit is sent over, I'll do a competitive analysis on the competitors to really wrap my head around who they are, what their message is, what their big idea is, where is their room in the market. And that's where you're able to create this positioning for the brand that you're doing the work for, to identify that clear position in the hearts and minds of the consumer. Where's that opening? And then the core, which is, like you were saying, the soul of the brand, the purpose, why it exists, what it stands for, and then the expression. So how is all of this going to come together in the form of a big
Mm-hmm.
idea that's going to really connect all of these things? And so that's what we do in the workshop. We talk about all these things, and then step 2 is the strategy. So it usually turns into, depending on the size of the project, a 20 to 40 page deck presentation with all of the strategic messaging in place. So this is something that for the life of the company, the brand, this will be the source of truth where they can go back to really understand who the brand is and how it shows up. So the consumer, the competition, how it's different, why it exists, how that's expressed, what this overarching brand story is. And then lastly, so we take that and then we do the design. That's step 3. So I'll do mood boards, which is one of my favorite ways to really align on the visual direction with the client. And it's like, you could have an idea that, oh, we need to go this direction, or you might think you know what it is, but they have a completely different visual idea that can't really be expressed in words. That's just so easy to see themes on a mood board. So we'll use Pinterest for that. And then we'll
Mm-hmm.
take that and I'll present back a stylescape, which is really like a look and feel direction. And then I'll start with colors. I'll start with the easy things, right? That you can really pick out quickly with the themes they're kind of putting up. And so colors, typography, graphics and patterns, texture sometimes. And then the last thing I'll do is the logo. So it's just kind of like
Okay.
the cherry on the cake. It's like sometimes the hardest thing to do, but if you do it last, sometimes it can be easy, in my opinion.
Okay.
So those 3 steps: workshop, strategy, design, is usually the process.
And in your experience, after going through the workshop, the strategy, and the design, when it comes to the design part, is it always a home run, or are there always, or sometimes, like things that don't necessarily go according to the plan, or the client don't like them? How do you think that usually goes?
So because that's a really great question, and it's very important to, I think, from my experience, to continually work with them. It's almost like running together. They're stepping
Mm-hmm.
and you're stepping, and they're stepping, you're stepping. It's like a constant communication the way you build like this. So it's like, okay, you do the Pinterest board. Okay, cool. I'm going to present back stylescapes. That's the direction we're heading. Okay, you like that? That's right. Great. And a lot of times it's very clear what colors they like, what typography they like, what are the graphics you're going to have to create. Is it fun? Is it exciting? Is it luxury? You get a feel for it. And then when you present the first round of design, which is usually accepted when you do it this way, it's usually really smooth. I have not had a, I don't, I haven't had many clients, maybe tweaking the logos a little bit, but like I don't think I've had a lot of clients, a lot of pushback on presenting uh, the first rounds of design. Really, very rarely I've ever done like three three rounds. So um, yeah, it's very much like a handshake. as you go
Mm-hmm,
along.
mm-hmm. And um, obviously, I don't know what's the answer to this next question, but I would assume that the hardest part of this whole process is probably the workshop.
Yeah, yeah. It is. It is. It's really where you discover what the brand's all about and where it's heading. And it's also one of the most exciting things to do. It's you know, I think that some people think of me as like a therapist, like a brand therapist sometimes, because you really like,
That makes sense. I love
yeah,
it.
it's a really like, it's deep. It gets deep.
Yeah, I
But
can imagine, but
yeah,
I can also imagine it can get very hard or frustrating if you're working with a recently on the market client. If the client hasn't even started yet, do you work with clients that are already positioned on the marketplace for this workshop to actually work because they have the answers, or do you work with, or have you worked with clients that are actually starting from zero and they probably have no answer to a lot of your questions about positioning, geographics, income, uh,
yeah,
all sort of stuff?
yeah. So I think I have worked with different clients that are, big established brands, right? That are
Hmm.
third leaders, let's say, in the market for an industry, and they're really close to being finished with their strategy deck, but they just can't quite nail it. And
Okay.
so I've come on in instances where there's just some gaps and some holes, and they really need to just finish connecting the dots. So, yeah, that has happened before, but usually I will work with, again, established brands usually that understand the value of strategy, and
Hmm.
and will usually do the whole process. Very rarely I've never seen anyone that has tried to do it themselves and kind of was stuck and needed my help. Usually they kind of need the whole thing.
Earlier, you said that you've been working by yourself for approximately 7 years, or maybe more than 7 years. Where where did you learn this? Where did you learn all of this process? Where have you? Is it because you study this, or you took
Yeah,
courses, or do you have mentors? Like how did you went from a graphic or a skater or a graphic designer to
yeah,
actually know all of that, of branding and actually executing all of this work?
yeah. So great question. It is a so I would say that I got a head start because I worked at agencies where they would do these sorts of workshops. So I already kind of had an idea, okay, these are the kind of the main things to talk about. So that kind of gave me like when I went on my own, a, um, you wouldn't say a blueprint but it's sort of almost like, okay, here's like the main things that need to be talked about. Now,
Hmm.
what I found out, I read dozens and dozens of books, YouTube videos, joining professional groups, um, learning different agencies, blueprints, and really connecting them. Um, so finding out what works, doing my own brand projects, and then looking back on it and saying, oh, this piece wasn't necessary, or this really worked well. Let me dig a little deeper and build on that. So it was really a process of iteration,
Hmm.
learning, and connecting, and really creating my own that really works for me. So yeah,
And that's very interesting. Um, Deliverables is always like a very hot topic when it comes to design, because from my understanding, what um, other designers tend to do sometimes is that in order to elevate their prices or get higher prices, they they have more deliverables. They give more. Um,
Mm,
do you have like a set of standard deliverables that are always accompanied to your
mm,
projects, or do they vary depending on particular projects? How do
mhm,
you counter how much information you actually give to your clients?
mhm. Yeah. So I will usually present this like a standard set of deliverables, which is the strategy deck, the presentation,
Hmm.
and the design assets. And that will include a full uh, brand guidelines presentation along with the working files and the vectors, typography, that sort of thing. And then
Hmm.
once I do that, it's a beautiful process because at this point they trust you, they know your professionalism, they know your quality of work, and then you want to continue to have them as a client. So you
Hmm.
build on that relationship, and then I'll do their website, I'll do brochures, I'll do business cards, collateral, and I'll connect them with marketing people, I'll connect them with social media managers, and it's a constant win-win business relationship going forward with that. So always, this is something, especially in the past couple of years, I've learned is that you have something you're really good at that you provide and you build trust and value. Like for me, that's the brand strategy where you really connect it, and then they build on that with the design. They love the design, and
Hmm.
then you continue to give them value and you continue to make more money and enjoy your work through additional deliverables.
I love it. I love it. And maybe this next question is more for me, or maybe it's a little bit more geeky. But um, how do you give the deliverables to your clients? Do you have software that you use? Do you give them in folders? Do you give them do you have a way to actually make them and delivering them? How is that process from your computer, the files on your computer that says logo, final,
Mm,
blah blah blah, to actually
yeah,
giving them to them and then having that that document?
yeah. So I always have, of course, my internal final folder system. Anytime I get a new client, it just has those three steps: the strategy, the workshop, the strategy, and the design. And then within those folders, I'll have different folders that are just kind of ready to go.
Hmm.
Logos, typography, fonts, and then just website assets, right? But so the systems I'll use to pass things off, I haven't found something more simple and easy, honestly, than Google Drive. I use Gmail, so it's just pretty easy. Storage is pretty cheap. I've looked at possibly using Dropbox, but Google Drive seems to be just, satisfying. It's just fine.
Hmm.
Yeah. How about you? Is there
So
something you know of?
I actually I at first I started I did it like in a personal kind of thing. I bought a lot of small drives, pen drives, with my logo and my naming and
Oh,
everything, and
cool.
I handed that to them so they can have like a sort of memorabilia kind of thing. Obviously, that I don't want to say that got all really fast, but it takes time. And recently, I've just been doing the same with the Google Drive. I use the Google Drive. I let them download everything, and then after they say they have everything that they need, well, obviously I have the copy on my drive uh, uh, for measures, and then I just delete it from the Google
Yeah,
Drive.
yeah, very cool. That's next level. That's some delightful branding, you know. That's good.
It was actually kind of cute. Uh,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
but but
yeah. If you're in the same
so
location, definitely.
mhm. Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. You kind of have to be in the same location for that kind of thing to work. Um,
Absolutely.
so here's another maybe selfish question, but I know a lot of designers uh might benefit from this. I believe that everything that you've talked to me right now about the workshop, the brand strategy, and finally the execution, I think that's pure gold. And I
Mm,
believe that other designers do the same. Like brand strategy is actually a very buzzy word recently on social media, and a lot of people say that they do brand
mm,
design and they don't, and they do brand strategy and they don't. Uh,
mm,
but I, I believe that what you told me right now, it's really valuable. My question is, do you have courses to teach this? Do you have a shop where you
mm,
sell this information? Do you
mm,
give workshop to designers? Have you ever thought about doing any of those?
mm. Yeah, great question. So I have at one point very little marketing. I sold a condensed version of my brand strategy workshop online,
Mm-hmm.
and so as a Notion template. So uh, if you're interested, you can find me on Instagram at studio.wisdom, and you can DM me if you're listening to this, and I'll provide
Okay.
you. I'll send you a link. But yeah, that's something I want to do in the future. I think there's definitely a lot of people that could benefit from that. It would really make their lives easier as a brand
Mm-hmm.
strategist for sure. You cover all the topics. But yeah, so I do want to, that's definitely something I think of down the road to become that person that it helps other brand strategists and designers really
Mm-hmm.
become super pro. But I'm enjoying this stage in life right now where I'm just really enjoying building brands. So I'm just loving it.
That's
So
that's awesome.
not my
That's
focus
awesome.
right now.
I would definitely recommend it because I know that I obviously didn't I don't not obviously, but for those of you who are listening to this for the first time, I didn't study graphic design. I actually studied architecture, but I love graphic design. So I'm kind of new to this graphic design market, and there are many things that I have discovered, and is that are a lot of scammers. There are a lot of people that say that they do something and they don't, but there are a lot of designers that genuinely want to learn, to grow, and be better. And I don't think there are enough senior designers or creative directors out there put in this kind of work for the public or for more rookie designers. So I would definitely encourage you to, if this is something that you would love to do, that would you would like to do eventually, I would encourage you to do it. I think it's a great thing.
Let's say thank you so much. Yeah.
So how long does it usually take you to do one project or a
Mm.
project like this?
So I will. I just finished one of my fastest brand building projects. I think it
Okay.
was a little. It was about a month, and that was a full. It was
Okay.
like it was a skincare company, skincare technology product, and they had about 8 people in their workshop, and so we did a full brand strategy and brand identity, and it's just wrapping up, and it's about 1 month. So that's where I want to be at when you have this process that's can be repeated and you know what to look for. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you can do it quickly, and I you know, for right now, I'm working on my own. So um,
Yeah.
that's a fast. It's a brand sprint. So I'm going to take a couple of weeks off when I finish. tired, but it's
Hmm.
good. Um, but other clients, right, they have not a high budget. They can only afford a couple thousand a month to pay for this sort of thing. And so that can extend the time period out. Like I'm wrapping up a project that has lasted over
Hmm.
6 months. And so that's common
Yeah,
too.
yeah, I can imagine. And if you recently finish one very quickly, and quickly to you is 1 month,
Yeah.
I can imagine that for a more rookie designer, or maybe for a more unexperienced designer, this can be a 2 months, maybe even 3 months period. If you know, if you are by yourself and are actually learning this kind of workflow.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. You really the more you do it, really, the better you're gonna get. Like so quickly, you're gonna learn every
Hmm.
time. And you know, if you're newer, keep track of your time, keep track of where you're focusing, and um, you know what your process is, and really document everything. Really observe yourself throughout the whole process, and through that,
Hmm.
you'll be able to reflect and just get better every time.
Awesome, awesome. So I want to talk about, let's talk about your branding. Let's talk about your branding and your position on Instagram and what are you doing. Like I told you before, the way I found you was because of a post that you were on your van, and I was like, "Holy cow! Now this is a lifestyle brand. Now this is what I'm talking about." And
Love it.
and overall, the flow of your website and of your social media, I actually really like it. It's bold, it's not too much in your face, it has the accents very
Mhm.
well put. um I
Thank you.
see a trend of doing black and white, and I actually want to ask why is the black and white. But overall,
Mhm.
I want to say that I really like it. I want to know, one, why black and white?
Mhm.
Two, I want to know why magenta, if it's like your
Mhm.
favorite color,
Mhm.
or what it is. And
Yeah.
three, I want to applaud you because it's very recognizable. It's very well put, and even
Mhm.
things like the cap and the glasses. Maybe there are things that, maybe the glasses, maybe you need the glasses, but even the glasses are part, I think, are part of your brand. So
Mhm.
can you maybe talk to
Yeah.
me a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So um, I wanted to make something that was that put my client work kind of front and center on my website. Like a lot of the brands I'm building have
Hmm.
a lot of color in them. They've got different color palettes, very exciting fonts and typography. And I really wanted to take the backstage so that they could be kind of front and center, and the work would get most attention um, on the site. I wanted something simple and elegant that would attract higher value clients, and so you know, I use black and white. To me, I do love black and white. I wear black just about every day. It just simplifies life. Um, and
Yeah.
and then as far as the magenta, right? This pink gradient that I'm using. I wanted a pop of color. Like I like simplicity, but I also like pops of color. And pink was a color that to me, it's like, I mean, I'm not the manliest guy, but I can be like bold and like, I guess masculine. So I wanted something to kind of balance that out a little
Hmm.
bit. Um, to pink to me, it's like a pink to almost like a light red, the gradient, and
Hmm.
so you know, pink being, you know, creativity, and red being like energy, and so I really wanted to have that pop of something that's a little bit different. A lot also, pink is like not used as often as a lot of other colors on social media, I think. So um, similar to the way that you look, like it might seem really simple, but it's a gradient I'd say like haven't seen online. Some of the way you look at a dollar bill and you can see closely that there's like something to it. I wanted that gradient that I'm using to be something that only I'm using. that is like only
Mm-hmm.
mine. So I also had trouble picking between the pink and the red. So I said, screw it, I'm going with a gradient and I can evolve into the red if I like that better later.
Well, let me tell you that I absolutely love the gradient. If you didn't tell me that it was a gradient, I wasn't probably gonna. I'm
Yeah,
actually looking at the profile right now. I would have thought it was a pink, which I love. So
yeah,
if it's between
thank
the
you.
pink and the red, I'd say go with pink or with that kind of pink. It looks really good, and it's a
Thank
great
you.
accent color. And I can totally understand the black and white thing because I'm actually having a very similar problem with my personal branding, if you wanna say, and it's the
Mhm.
color thing, man. And I've seen
Yeah,
many. I don't want to say many. I've seen a few black and white profiles that I really like, and
yeah.
it's complex because I like the black and color, but I really like color too. So
Mm,
thinking that my profile is going to always be on black and white, it's kind of depressing to me. So, but it's interesting because that's the thing. It doesn't have to be expressful, or it doesn't have to be great for me. It has to be great for my ideal client. And my ego
yeah,
just bumps myself sometimes on on stuff like that.
definitely, definitely. Yeah,
So let's talk about the van. It's
sure.
it's 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 very interesting. It's different. It's something that caught my attention from the get-go. You're actually right now on the van, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we've been traveling
Okay.
2 years. We just made it back home here in Boston, but
Mm-hmm.
totally prefer to work from the van. If I had a mirror, I'd show you my setup, but there's a couple things I can't live without, and that is an iMac
Okay.
and Big Apple guy, and I gotta have an
shake,
iMac. So
shake.
it's not it's not just an iMac, it's a 27 inch, ready to go. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm also an Apple guy. I have my Mac right here.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know if this is gonna bump the followers or put them down, but we tried.
Probably bump.
So how did this idea came to you? How did you said, you know what, I want to do this? Tell me the why and tell me the how. I'm very interested in that.
Yeah, so um, y- you know, what we've been thinking about it for a while. So I traveled with my girlfriend, and
Hmm.
so we had been on the fence about pulling the trigger, and for a long time, and then COVID set in, and it was happening all around the world, and everyone was home,
Okay.
um, and so it did. There was a society shift in the way people think and work, and where it was like it became all remote, and it just was the
Yes.
right thing to do. It was like, let's do this. Now's our chance. So we bought the van in the beginning of COVID. We spent most of COVID building it out, and you know, everyone's work went online, and so it was like the perfect way to go travel and get inspired by different places, go to places we've been wanting to go. When COVID happened, we were like stuck inside. We missed being out, just traveling.
Yeah,
And so this was a great
for
way to
sure.
to really do it all. Yeah.
That's
So
awesome. And did you have previous experience building interiors or vans or something like that, or was it YouTube and let's go?
I mean, no to the extent of this. But I
Okay.
did build. I'm crafty, right? So I'll build my
Okay.
desk. I'll
Okay.
build my shelf. I'll build my bed frame. I like to build things to the way I like them. You can't go out and
Hmm.
buy things exactly how you want to live in them. So you have to
Yeah.
build them yourself. So I used to do that. I do a lot of woodworking on the set, like before I got into this. But this was like the most complex Rubik's Cube I've ever had to do. That being said,
Hmm.
anyone can
Hmm.
do it if you put your mind to it. It's just about watching YouTube videos until you figure it out. Electrical, plumbing,
What
everything.
isn't,
It's
right?
exactly, exactly. But it's the beauty of it. You really do get to shape the way you live and your lifestyle. And so, to me, that was the biggest thing. Like I, uh, I didn't necessarily care like what I was, how much money I had, or how like I really, I really think the ultimate goal is how are we living on a day-to-day basis, and is it making us happy? What's your lifestyle like? And
Hmm.
so I wanted to build a lifestyle around things that I love. And so work that I love, travel that I love, you know, connecting with new places, people, food, culture that I love. So I wanted to really to get out and enjoy that all at once.
And the initial idea, was it to maybe go to places that you love and try to find clients there, or to find clients and go to them? What was the initial concept of this mobile brand building empire or journey?
Yeah, yeah. So I expected it to be a lot more hands-on and pull up to a business that needed help with their branding, step out of the door and walk in, and they're just going to say, "Okay, yeah, let's build this brand." Um,
Tommy's here.
yeah, yeah. But like, um, I don't know. I think we're in a different stage now. It's like it's very easy to connect with people through content, and you
Hmm.
can reach thousands and thousands of people through one message. It's this one to many way of life we live in now. And so, this past year traveling, I have not, I don't think I've worked for anyone that I've met in person. It's all been through online, through content, through social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, some TikTok. So, that's been working good. It wasn't what I expected it to be like, but it's how it happened. So I like it.
It's interesting that you say connect people by content, because we live in a society right now where if you're not on social media, if you're a brand, if you're a business and you're not on social media, you're losing. Like 10 years ago, you can maybe had the leverage of not being in social media and it didn't matter much, but even today, like
Yeah,
even big corporations need to be on social. And
yeah.
which brings me to the social media topic, like how in a broad question, how has social media been for you?
Hmm. I honestly love it. I don't look at it like
Really?
negative in any way. Um, I believe it's a tool, and you can use this tool however you want. It's a powerful tool. If if you feel you have a message and or a purpose, and this can help spread your message, and bring your vision to life, then by all means, this is an excellent tool. You can put the phone away if you need time on your own. It's easy to put away.
Hmm.
Um, so no, I really like it. I would have to change a lot of things in my business if it weren't for social media. So it's been great. It really has. I've met
That's interesting. And is
yeah. I
sorry.
sorry, I was just gonna say I've met a lot of I've had clients cold DM me that have just seen posts and just get clients right there on the spot. So it bridges that gap, that trust gap, that
Hmm.
dries up quickly as a beginning designer or brand strategist. You go through your friends and family and contacts within the first few years, and then you need
Hmm.
more.
Hmm.
You need more clients. So it's a good way to do that.
That's awesome. And is Instagram your biggest platform?
Right now, yeah, yeah. I focus on Instagram. I kind of create content for Instagram and push it out to different platforms. So
Okay,
that
okay.
that's my focus. Yeah, it's working. Um, you know, it, I don't think it's a waste of time at all. I think I see
Hmm.
results from it, so I see it's working, and it's also a great way to be. alone, building a business on your own, connecting with other people, learning from other people, right? There's so much more to it than just getting clients. It's really that community aspect. Like I met you on social media, and this is awesome. We've
Mm-hmm.
had a
Mm-hmm.
great connection and learned a ton. So you really, that connection and also that learning aspect, things that we can learn from each other.
Yeah, that definitely. I've been on I want to say on a journey, maybe it's the word. This past year, doing these interviews and this podcast with a lot of people that I don't know any of them. They are
Yeah,
all new, and it's been great, man. It's been amazing,
yeah.
and it couldn't have been possible without social media. It's definitely an amazing tool that it's there to be used to connect people in the best way possible. Have you ever thought of doing maybe educational YouTube videos or
Mm.
try YouTube as a platform?
Yeah, so I have tried a little on YouTube, and right now, I kind of am gonna let it go and focus on Instagram and LinkedIn. Instagram is my core focus right now. I just,
Okay.
I don't think, I think I really need to create a content strategy for YouTube and do it when the time's right. Like when I
Mm-hmm.
want to maybe build that community to teach other people, right? Brand strategy. Um, that sort of thing. Like when my strategy shifts, I think YouTube's going to be the right time, but
Yeah.
I have no audience there yet. So,
Okay. And do you have like an Instagram strategy? Like when it comes to creating content, do you do it once a week, twice a week? Do you take away your evenings to
mhm.
brainstorm, or is it more um, sporadical or random? Like how do you treat your social media when it comes to social versus actually client work?
Mm. Yeah, I try to do at least one post a week, if not two.
Mm-hmm.
I try to focus on quality, something that I can boost out to a lot of other people. So a lot of times, if there's something that's getting good engagement, I'll boost it, and I will. It just with 20 extra bucks, you can reach like 8,000 more people that the
Mm-hmm.
algorithm knows are the right people for you. You can target it, of course, but I actually use I just use people like your followers, and it's been working great.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, it's cheap marketing and it's targeted and it
Yeah. Yeah.
works. Um, so yeah, I think it's important to consistently show up on there. There's a lot of people following you that might not be your clients. They might be someone that's going to introduce you to someone. And a lot of times,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the past few months, it's been that way for me. It's, oh, he's really good at this. He's the right guy for this, and I'm going to connect him with someone that uses his help, that needs his help. So you never know who's following you.
That's the thing. You never know in which phone are you going to end up with.
Exactly. Exactly.
Uh, and
It's
and it's
powerful.
and it's amazing. Was it daunting for you to be in front of a camera and to tape yourself, or do you think it was you were always like a more chill kind of person? To
Mm.
me in particular, it was horrible. I still suffer from it. I have video, and oh man, I have 10-second videos that I spend my whole evening doing the damn video. It's been mortal, but
Yeah, totally. Totally. I totally empathize with that. I mean, I really feel like it sucks in the beginning. There's no way to get around it. It sucks. I mean, I don't think that it's just a natural thing that people are just really jumping in there super good at.
hmm
I think it's a
hmm
muscle you have to build on. And for me, it's like I make myself, um, I changed my mentality about it. I try to enjoy it because I try to
Mm-hmm.
make it um, the idea of not doing it more difficult than the idea of doing it in my head. So I'm like,
Yeah, for sure.
I need to do this for what I want, for what I'm doing, and that way you enjoy it a lot more. Yeah, sometimes you have to work through it. It takes a couple hours, half a day, sometimes even a day. You never
Yeah.
know, but like it's
Ugh.
gonna get time goes on, and you get faster and faster with it, and your editing skills
Yeah.
get faster, and you understand really
Mm-hmm.
what works better. Um, so, but one
I,
cool thing that I
I,
have learned recently uh, is like if you're gonna sit down and spend half a day or a day working on content, like work on something that is really compelling that you can boost out to a lot of people and make the biggest impact. Because if you're working half a day on a reel that you know the algorithm's not going to like, it's not going to get reached. Like
mm-hmm.
really try to dial in your message and your story and visuals into a way that you can boost it and reach a lot of people. That way, your time is really used efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just something I've learned in the past, like
Yeah,
almost a couple months.
that's awesome. So if you're gonna spend a whole day uh,
Yeah,
making a video that you know it's gonna end up on social media, try for it to be top of funnel kind of thing where you can actually
yeah,
boost it to a lot of people, and so not very
yeah,
niche down.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So I think we've all been in a position where we get bad clients, and I don't want to say bad clients or toxic clients because I've come to understand that the more that I do work and the more that I grow, maybe is the word, uh, I understand that maybe most of the time it's my fault for not doing the right questions or for not understanding better what the client needs. But uh, for more rookie designers or starting off designers, can you maybe tell us some red flags that you've encountered along the years that you've been working on, that you know that every time I hear this phrase or every time I hear this kind of thing, it's a red flag for me, and I know I have to keep an eye on it.
yeah, I would love that. I mean, I've been actually compiling a list of red flags as I go. So I don't have the list in front of me, but like, let me see. So like sometimes constant red flag is like the last designer didn't do a good job, or like we had to fire the designer. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that sort of thing is always a big red flag. And then if they do say that, you really have to dig in and be like, what about it didn't you like? And what, so you make sure it doesn't go wrong. That is a red flag, but I think that that can be overcome if you communicate about what went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some other red flags might be like they don't have a clear picture in their head for what they're looking for. They're like, or they don't give you clear direction. Like when you try to dig a little bit deeper, just make it look cool, or
I'll know
like,
it when I see it.
I'll know when you see it. Yeah, the worst thing you want to hear. Um,
That's
that
even
sort of
worse than
thing.
make it bigger.
Exactly. Oh yeah. Oh, that's the worst. Um, yeah, you really need clear direction, right? Like, are we making a badge? Are we making a label? Was it a word mark? Like, we need direction here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so that's important. Also, just like feedback where they're really being picky about details, that sort of thing is
Mm-hmm.
like if you are a designer, you can do this yourself, right? Like so. You've seen the that meme. It's like the cheapest is like I design everything. The most expensive is you design everything I watch. So Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like come on, guys. Um, so those are some, but like the really biggest is this person valuing you and your skill
Hmm.
and your time, and
Yeah.
um, that's really the biggest thing you look for. Um, do they see you as the
Yeah, for
expert
sure.
or not?
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's very interesting because we live now in a world where for some reason the concept of being your own boss, working for yourself, um I'm a freelancer, those kind of things are, I don't want to say highly elevated, but
Mm,
are preached,
hmm.
and people don't realize that, or they often don't realize that when you work for yourself, you are not only the designer, you're the PR, you're the one that manages the client, you're the one that manages your time, you're the one that pays yourself, you're the one, you do everything, unless
Hmm.
obviously you pay people to do it. um what kind of things do you think uh more rookie designers or designers that are starting out, or designers that want to go freelance, should know about before actually making that jump to being a freelancer, that not many people talk about or know about, that they should be aware of?
Mm. Yeah, I really do think that it really does take a business mindset with the creative mindset as well. It really is two brains. And I think that people
Mm-hmm.
come into design and branding with one of those two brains. Either they're really good at business and they're less strong with the craft, or they're really good at
Mm-hmm.
the craft and they're not good at selling the craft. So you really have to get good at both. So I would say know where your strengths and weaknesses are and try to work on your weaknesses and turn them into strengths. So, um, that's very important. I came in from the marketing background, so I was stronger on the business side, and the
Mm-hmm.
psychology um, and the strategy, you could say. But then I had to do the work to get my hands dirty and put in the hours in front of a computer, straining my hands, pushing pixels around to get good at design when
Mm-hmm.
because I knew that I needed to get better at execution. Um, so yeah, you just really have to have that awareness and then do the work to get better at what you're weaker on.
And what can you recommend to someone that didn't necessarily study design or graphic design, but likes it, loves it, it's their passion, and want to do that jump? What would you recommend to someone like that?
For design in particular, really like first of all, identify what are your tools, right? Like a um, a blacksmith uses a chisel, and find your tool. So my tool is Illustrator. I really love Illustrator. Um, my girlfriend really loves Figma. Like find your tool and just really get really good at it. Um, understand not just those tools that 90% you're going to use all the time, but like those 10% of the tools that you don't see too often that are really going to make you that next level designer, that are really going to add that
Mm-hmm.
that flavor. Um, so spend time on it. Just like you know, make it fun. Before you go to bed,
Mm-hmm.
spend 2 hours a night just playing and just exploring. Um, watch YouTube videos nonstop. Like this is not an era where you need to go to school for this sort of thing. Your
Mm-hmm.
eye and your talent can speak for itself when you just spend time on it. So
Find your tools.
practice,
I love it.
practice. Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
recommendation that I haven't heard before. I love it.
yeah.
Thank you so much. Do you think that you are going to eventually evolve into a studio, or do you see yourself as a one-man army for a little while?
Yeah, great question. And it's something I think a lot about. Uh, I think I'm going to evolve into a studio. I kind of
Hmm.
already am. And I'm starting
Okay.
to, yeah, like delegate more work to other designers, more, trying to piece together all the pieces of the puzzle to get the
Hmm.
best outcome. Like, yeah, I
Hmm.
know how to build a website, and but someone actually out there may need the work. They can do a better job and do it for cheaper. And you're doing yourself a disservice by doing it yourself for the
Yeah.
client and you. And so, yeah, I do want to partner with the right people and like-minded people. If you're listening and you're out there and you're a designer that you want to work together on some projects, let's do it. But
DM DM
yeah,
Tommy.
yeah, DM me. I feel like when you work, like I've worked with a lot of other designers on projects, and the outcomes is honestly, it's like 1 + 1 = 11. It doesn't equal two. You can always collaborate
Yeah.
and create things that you wouldn't be able to do alone with other people.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, can we maybe talk a little bit about the process, because I think that is a very interesting process. I love it. I want to think that I am maybe more business than design, but I can be wrong. And it's been, I don't want to say bothering me, but I've been noticing this trend, or this thing that I need to start delegating. Like I found my
Mm,
ceiling. I work too much. I can't myself anymore. So, uh, but there are many things that come attached to it. Uh, what person do I hire? Is it by contract? How do I know that this person is gonna work? Like, can you maybe speak a little bit about your process and on how you find these people, and
mm,
get them to actually work for wisdom, and
mhm.
not say that they did this work on their own. Do I explain
Right.
myself?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, you know, if you're working on a big project where the agency owns the rights and everything, then you will have to do the paperwork ahead of time to say that you can use this for your portfolio, but you need to say that you were what you did and who you worked for, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not at that point where I really need that level of protection, um,
Mm-hmm.
but I like to start off with small projects with designers. So a junior designer reached out to me recently, and he was looking for work. It was great timing. I had some work, and I just sent him half the money. It was a small project up front. He turned it around in a couple of days, sent him the other half, and he did a good job. The client used half of his work, actually picked half of his work for that direction. So um,
That's
I would
awesome.
say it's a win-win. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
so I think building on a couple of things. So one would be building on small victories, and that now I understand that he's a reliable worker. Right? Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe I think his level of design is like, maybe an 8 out of 10, right? So I can
Mm-hmm.
know that, and then you know from there, I mean that's one way of doing it. Another way is you might have this illustrator friend that's really great at you know drawing like flowers, and you have this flower project, right? Whatever. And you bring them in. It's the exact aesthetic you need, and then you reach out to them, and that's you make magic right there. So if you have a really good idea and a good Rolodex of contacts that you can reach out to and rely on, then I think you're going to do really well. So it's all about building that network that you can rely on. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so to build out. But that being said, I don't plan on being a big full time hire this, that, like studio where it's full-time employees. It's fluid. I want to reach out
Hmm.
to people when they need work, that sort of thing, because I value
Hmm.
right now my freedom and lifestyle too much to be tied to anywhere.
Which is awesome, and I love it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I want to ask you this because I think it's a topic that goes around social media quite a lot, and I think that I might be wrong, but I think that it happens to more unexperienced designers or to more rookie designers, and it's the topic about getting clients. Um, if you had to transport yourself to your younger self back when you have
mm,
maybe 1 or 2 years of experience working alone, what can you recommend colleagues
yeah.
or designers for, or in your experience, what is the best way to actually get better clients or higher paying clients?
Hmm. Yeah, I think that one of the biggest pieces of advice I could say is um, really hone in on your industry. Like if you like sports or if you like
Hmm.
technology, really like focus on the best brand technology companies and like really study it and what makes it good and practice on that. And then you can build a portfolio around that industry, and be very good at that one thing to be known for that. So hone in on beyond your passion for design or branding. Hone in on where that's applied, and I think that that can really help. Um, that way, you can really,
So niche down,
yeah, as much as you can.
specialize, and
Yeah,
get
yeah,
become a leader in that particular niche.
yeah. I think so.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Tommy, this has been great. This has been absolutely amazing. I've loved every single minute of this conversation. I don't want
thank
to
you.
end it. If there's anything else you want to talk about,
I mean, I think you did a great job leading it and asking really great questions. Nothing comes to mind, but I just wanted to thank all your viewers and your audience, anyone that's still watching. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. And connect with us on social media. I'd love to follow your
hmm,
journey. You can find
thanks.
me at Instagram at studio.wisdom.
Hmm.
Find me on LinkedIn, Tommy Wisdom, and yeah. So that's about it. Thank you, and thanks for having me, Kish. I really
That's
appreciate
perfect.
what you do. Yeah.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you so much.